You're not eating, you're not sleeping, you're tired but wired. You look fine, but inside it's chaos. Let's stop pretending this is just about a breakup, because the truth is it's your mental health is what's breaking. And it's probably time we talked about it. Breakups don't just hurt, they emotionally unravel you. Most people think that a breakup is just emotional pain, but to a man, sometimes it can feel like you're just lost. The trap that a lot of men fall into is that we don't just lose her, we lost our anchor. She was the person that we anchored our emotional well-being into. And for better or worse, now that that person is gone, we don't have that grounding anymore. We're like a ship at sea in the midst of a storm, trying to steady ourselves without dropping our anchor because we lost it. She wasn't just your girlfriend, and you didn't just lose that relationship, you lost the routine. It was that emotional grounding that made the entire thing tied together feel like home to you. I mean, you talked to her every day. You probably did the good morning, good night texting thing. She may have been your first. May have been the first girl either that you loved or the first girl that you actually let in. A lot of guys will tell me that, yeah, she may not have been my first girlfriend, but she was the first girl that I actually shared my wants and my needs and my dreams and my goals with. And none of those things are necessarily bad. But now it's just silence. Nothing. You're left to detox from her cold turkey without any break whatsoever. This is why most guys cave. This is why most guys end up chasing. And what they're really chasing is that dopamine hit, because they are literally getting none of it when they were constantly getting dripped this every single day, at least, a couple hours apart. And to quit something like that cold turkey is never going to be easy. See, the human brain is wired for pattern. And when that pattern breaks, your nervous system freaks out. It knows that something's wrong. It senses that it's in danger. And oftentimes, that's why we seek out the same pattern. We'll text her good morning again, even though we haven't heard from her in maybe a week or two. We'll break frame because we think that sacrificing ourself and our pride and our ego is the way to get her back. But the truth of the matter is, it's her pride, her ego, that is usually often the culprit of that relationship, because the modern woman can't seem to sit with herself for too long, thinking that she is anything less than a literal goddess walking the earth. And you chasing her is only going to give her further validation and will make her pull away even farther. Your identity, your ego was definitely at play here, and it took a hit after the breakup. See, you weren't just her boyfriend. You were in a relationship with her. You were in a situationship with her. And you were probably that person to her that she was to you. Her pattern, her dopamine hit, the plans you made, the man you were becoming around her, the way that you saw yourself in her eyes. Now, it feels like you're left trying to figure out who you really are without the mirror that she held up to you showing what you could have been with her. And it's such a cruel trick too, because it feels like she was the one pulling the wool over your eyes, but she was really just trying to prop you up as her man. And for one reason or another, maybe it wasn't her fault, things ended. And now you don't really know who you are anymore. And I think this is where the real spiral begins. Not from the pain of losing her, but it's a bit of panic over not recognizing yourself anymore. Your brain and body are quite literally physically in withdrawal. You're withdrawing from the dopamine hit, the oxytocin, everything that you got from her that you used to get on a steady basis. This is the pattern that we're talking about that was abruptly ended and making you quit cold turkey. This is also why women tend to jump into relationships very quickly after a relationship, because she will not be able to get that same dopamine, that same high that she got with you, but she can get something similar, and at least it's better than nothing, which is probably what the average guy sits with. That's why you get anxious, that's why you can't eat, that's why you can't sleep, and that's why you can't focus at school or work. It feels like you're going insane and you feel weak, but you've got to understand that, man, this is just biology. You're just suffering from those withdrawal symptoms. And I'm here to tell you, man, you're not really broken. Your brain just hasn't caught up to the fact that she's gone yet. Now, let me speak to the men, particularly at this point. Society expects you to get over things fast just because you're a man. They say, yeah, well, you'll be all right. You're a man. You can tough it out. And your friends, they try to just tell you, just move on. Just distract yourself. Do whatever. And, they mean well. That's a logical solution to an emotional problem. And those things usually don't work out very well. And you look fine on the outside, but on the inside, you're spiraling and it's nothing but chaos. No one knows you're falling apart when the doors are shut, when the lights are off and you lay there by yourself at night. It isn't just heartbreak, it's emotional loss, it's shock, it's withdrawal. And if you don't name it, if you don't own up to it, that's the first step. It'll begin to own you. And understanding what's actually going on is going to be a big indicator of how to actually fix you. Kind of like a doctor trying to perform surgery without really knowing what's going on with the patient. It's like, yeah, maybe you amputate a leg or something, but it doesn't mean the leg needed to be amputated. And typically what guys do when they don't understand the problem is that they'll either lean red pill or blue pill to an extremity, and they'll either start to hate all women, which is like amputating a leg because you have a cough, or you just sort of lean into your femininity, which is what a lot of blue pill really is, and you just sort of accept blame for the entire relationship and think that she did absolutely no wrong and that men are kind of trash and that you're brainwashed to think that men have to behave a certain way in society. And that's nonsense too. And the brutal pill with all of this is that you cannot outrun all of this. You have to sit through it if you want to actually heal. Think of it like this. When you are physically sick and you're given a pill to take from the doctor, you have to take those pills over the course of the next couple of weeks in order to get over your symptoms, in order to actually feel not sick. It's the exact same thing with the breakup. Guys get a pill here and a pill there and they think, oh, I'm over it because now I can go to work. But the thing is, they never really deal with it. They never really heal. It's a couple of pills and they move on. But that's not actually moving on. That's just burying emotions. What you're going to do is you're going to carry that baggage into your next relationship. And you don't want to do that. The next girl you date does not deserve that. Or maybe she does. I don't know her. F her. These are jokes, okay? Don't actually do that to that poor girl. What I often see are people who try to distract themselves either through another person, maybe their work, their hobbies, their friends, or of course through fake positivity, fake healing that they'll post all over their Facebook or their Instagram. And I just feel sorry for those people because you know that they're not doing the actual work. They're not sitting with their emotions. They're not dealing with it. They're not getting over it. They're just running to anything that'll distract them. And often what I find is that those people only post those things as a sort of ping or as a sort of bait to their ex, which of course is watching all their stories. It's like, they're not really healing, man. They're just trying to bait their ex into feeling guilty. But what they've got to understand is that you've got to stop trying to numb yourself. You've got to sit with it. You've got to heal through it because that's the only way you're actually going to let go of that baggage and free yourself to be able to enter a new relationship with someone without dragging your ex along for the ride. Every emotion you bury becomes baggage for your next relationship. Here's a big misconception about mental health. Mental health is not about being strong, it's about being honest. Because most people cannot be honest with what they feel. They'll swear up and down they don't want their ex back, they'll never talk to them again, but the second that that person texts them, they'll reply within a minute. It's like, those people are not going to heal because they cannot pinpoint what the actual problem is. Mental strength isn't just silence. It's not going no contact with your ex to prove how tough you are. Real mental strength comes from being honest with yourself by saying, you know what? I'm not okay, but I'm not giving up. When you were in that relationship with her, I mentioned earlier that she had become your emotional anchor. And you know what I honestly believe? I believe that that is a natural role for a woman in a relationship with a man. I don't think that's avoidable. I think that after a certain amount of time, no matter what a man does, that woman becomes the emotional anchor of that man. I think there's an exchange there that works like this. The woman will eventually become the man's strength, and the man will eventually become the woman's weakness. And I think it works because it's sort of a case of mutually assured destruction if things don't work out. It's trusting the other person not to harm you when they very easily could. So I say all that to say this. Yes, I think it is natural for the woman to become your emotional anchor in that relationship. I think it's natural for the woman to care more about how you feel than how you even feel about yourself. But now that she's gone, we're dealing with the repercussions of that. And part of those consequences is that now you feel lost. Now you don't know what to do without her, and what you really need is another anchor. And it could be because you placed her on a pedestal. Maybe you placed her above your priorities in life, and that's why you're having trouble going back to school or going back to work, because you placed her higher than your purpose in life, and whether or not she was your emotional anchor is a separate issue here. You never place a woman as the number one priority in your life. And I got news for you, man. She doesn't want to be the number one priority in your life. She wants to feel like she is going somewhere with you. But I get it. Their relationship is over, and now maybe you screwed up. Maybe she was the most important thing in your life. You need that emotional anchor. You need to know what to do next. I've got a few things that'll help you, okay? Move your body. Everybody says go to the gym, blah, 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 do this, do that. But I know a lot of guys who they'll do that for like 2 weeks and then they quit. But here's the thing. Yes, I would suggest you go to the gym regardless of how you feel. That means that you need to build up some discipline and not just some motivation. Because at the beginning of this heartbreak, you're gonna feel a lot of pain and you're gonna do anything you can to alleviate that. And part of that is going to the gym. But here's the deal. After some time, that pain lessens. It dulls. And because it dulls, your motivation to go to the gym, your motivation to become better is going to dull as well. This is where we find the men who are actually disciplined and the ones who are simply relying on motivation. Because the ones who are relying on motivation are going to stop going to the gym. They're going to get back into their old habits very quickly. But the men who rely on discipline are still going to be at the gym. The men who rely on discipline are actually going to be building their life. And after a couple months, you're going to start to see it. Regardless of whether or not you go to the gym, move your body at least once a day. And what I mean literally is to get out of your house. Walk through your neighborhood. Walk to the store. It doesn't matter. Just do something while the sun's out. Get some vitamin D. And while we're on the subject here, get something real inside of you. And I don't mean, metaphysically here. I mean literally. Instead of just eating McDonald's every day or something, go buy you a steak. Go learn how to cook steak if you don't know how to cook steak. It's not really that hard, guys. Go and see your friends. You don't need to jump into another relationship with another woman, and I would highly suggest that you don't do that, okay? But you do need to go see your friends. You need to see your family. Go visit your cousins you haven't seen for years. Do something that would make you feel better about yourself, yes, but maybe do something that would be in service of others as well. And that could be something as simple as taking your friends out to a nice restaurant, because your bros deserve it. The woman who just left you probably doesn't. And after a couple weeks, make yourself get on a regular sleep schedule again. Don't just sit in bed until noon and think about her and just, wish that things were different and sit there in rumination and just melt into your bed. Get up, take a shower, brush your teeth, put on some good clothes, take a walk, go get something real, learn how to cook something, go out with your friends. These things are going to become little parts of your emotional anchor that you're going to try to build back up. And what you're going to find is that over time, the pain of that breakup is going to lessen and your new anchor is going to at least keep your boat afloat. And that's all we can really ask for right now. We're not telling you to sail across the world right now. We're just trying to get you in and out of harbor on a regular basis, all right? They're not meant to fix everything. They're meant to remind your body that you're okay, you're still alive, and to quiet your nervous system. And that's where healing starts. Your mental health matters, not just because you deserve peace, but because there are people in your future that are relying on you to make it through this. Someone's going to need the version of you that survived all of this. So don't give up, don't disappear, and do not let this breakup define who you are. Lil bro, lil sis, you've got this, and I've got you. I'll see you in the next one.